Вітаю.
My greetings to all the participants of this discussion of Ukrainian and Estonian experience and practices in electronic government. Estonia yesterday celebrated its national holiday, and we are greeting Estonia and congratulating it on their Independence Day. Today, we also are marking the 150th anniversary of the birth of Lesa Ukrainka, who is a great poetess here in Ukraine. We are going to focus today on the practices, Estonian and Ukrainian practices in e-government, and I hope that we'll be able to inform you about the achievements of Ukraine in this realm, and also use the Estonian practices and their experiences in using and advancing the government system. Our today's discussion is organized jointly by the Estonian Center of Eastern Partnership and Ukrainian Program on Decentralization, the program Dobre. Whoever is listening to us and following us, you are most welcome to follow us on the Facebook platform and also through our dedicated YouTube channel. The media representatives who are present today right here in this hall can certainly ask their questions, so to say, live. We have invited today Ms. Borisenko, who is one of the department, the leader of the department of the program Dobre, and Research and Development Department of the Social Boost program. Also, Mr. Khoruzhevsky, who is the chief specialist of the digital transformation of Sofiev community of Dnipropetrovsk region. Also, Kirill Krabu, who is the head of the board of the Krabu Group from Tallinn. And also Anne-Marie Hunt, who is an analyst of the IT service of the Pärnu Municipal Chancery. My name is Katerina Borisenko. How are you doing, all? Please put on the screen my presentation, if you can, if you will. Social Boost is an impact tech organization, and we deal with the e-government and e-democracy projects. So our main purpose is to assist the communities all over Ukraine and municipalities with the help of IT services. Our most known project is a civil project for the automatization and digitalization of the local budget use. We also have the incubator that assists the startups in the area of open data and social projects. We have been a partner of the Dobre program in 10 regions of Ukraine, and we have been introducing different electronic instruments in these areas and oblasts of Ukraine, the administrative regions, that is. So some of the communities, especially when they are at a very initial level of digitalization, we approach them and offer our assistance. That's how it works. We are now completing, finalizing our work with the first, second, and the third tier of our partners. And for example, here we have Mr. Khoruzhevsky, who is our partner from one of the communities, Sofievsky community from Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. When you have a small community of 3 villages, you might wonder how it happened that they have most modern website and web platform. for their e-government purposes. When we speak about e-democracy and transparency, we speak certainly first of all about the safety of the data. It's essential, you understand that if you want to use your smartphone and all its abilities and capacities, you first of all have to have your data safe. And only after that can we speak about the transparency of the data, enabling each and every community to publish their data on public procurement, on all the tenders they announce, and so on, in a very accessible and approachable manner. So, it's not just to upload a mass of data on a website. It's more than that. They should be presented, the data, it should be presented in a manner that is consumable, so to say, digestible, if you will, for the members of the community and for the public at large. Especially when we speak about the issues, such issues as the local budget and public budgets in general. When we speak about e-democracy, I consider, I consider it a big success for Ukraine, that Ukraine is on the 27th place among other countries in the advancement, so to say, level of advancement of e-democracy platform. And among our users are the municipality of Kiev, so very large users, and even small communities who are small users. It's not yet at the level of the, so to say, hype as it was at the beginning, back in 2016. Today, it's a big chunk of work that is being done by us. We also speak about a cloud platform that is going to be accessible to any community in Ukraine. Let me present to you the next slide. As you can see, the female participation is quite high. As you can see here, 62, practically 63% of the projects were initiated by women. If we speak about the average age and age breakdown of the members of our program, you could see different age groups here, and probably a quarter of them are 26 to 35 years. And even as you can see, the more advanced age groups, 46 to 65 years, they are almost the third. So they use quite proficiently all the digital instruments, all the digital tools that we offer. And that's the result of quite a long road that we have already covered together with our partners. Let me say a few words about the so-called participation budget. It means that if you implement your projects this year, then you get financement for the next year for similar projects. I must say that those participation budgets in some smaller communities exceed those or similar budgets in large municipalities. So if you work successfully, then you are rewarded. And overall, the average level for Ukraine of the implementation of the projects is, and completion of the projects, is about 53%. If we speak about the participation of the residents of the communities, it's quite high as well. Even in small communities, you can see here 3 small communities, the number of members of the communities participating are quite high. For example, in Bashtanska community, it's more than 20, it's practically 22% of local residents. And So, for example, the instruments that are offered are different, issuance of different documents, permits, and so on in electronic form. And also are offered the options of identification, of financial and different other types of reporting, the templates for that, the development of different projects and their processing, and so on. So a lot of instruments of electronic democracy are well represented and available to different local communities. And as we are working on this e-democracy tools, we try to involve more financing, not only those small, sometimes rather small public local budgets. And so far, the participation in this financing is quite low on the part of the third parties because there have been very little PR effort. And so we are calling on you to be more active and to take part more actively, especially in the development of the tools that are going to stay with us for a long time and will be an element of our relationship with the governments of different level and administrations. So let's say a few words about the important role of an official website of a community. If you saw some of those websites of some, especially rural communities, you know the state they are in, the majority of them at least. For instance, in one of the websites, or on one of the websites of one of the fairly small communities in Chernihiv Oblast, we counted 46 different, sections of information, including different pictures, different symbols that date back mostly to the 90s. Here you can see how it's organized. For example, this website, it's some tiles. Information is structured in different tiles under different headings. And if we look at one of those headings, under that heading we can find only a statement by the chairman or by the head of that community that dates back 2 years. So for 2 years, people who were visiting that platform, they have been seeing only that statement by the head of the local community. So what we are doing, we discuss, first of all, with our partners, what headings, what sections for their information they would like to have on their website. For instance, a whole block of economic data, which might be important if you would like to inform potential investors about economic conditions in your region. And some communities fancy, having large sections about their achievements, about the history of their community, and so on. Let me show how we present economic data. For instance, here you could see how the so-called interactive passport or economic profile of a community can be done. And that's what we are up to. This information should be presented in some modern formats. And also all the necessary elements like the font size, the types of the fonts, the illustrations, the pictures that are used, so on and so forth. It should all be done professionally. Today we have, all in all, 56 communities who cooperate through the platforms that we have created in our partnerships with them. We hope that the number of the communities is going to grow. I must say that it might, for some, especially some small rural communities, it might be quite expensive to order the development of this e-government platform, and we believe that the templates, so to say, the designs that we offer, they might facilitate and might bring down the costs of the development of these e-government platforms. One more very useful tool, it's the electronic polling or electronic surveys. For instance, there was an idea to develop an app, a dedicated app for the door-to-door polling without actually visiting, making those door-to-door visits. Or if that app is put on a tablet, then local residents can use those tablets with those apps and just go around their villages and, complete those surveys by interacting with the members of the community. I hope, or I'd rather want to say that, in my opinion, it's an important it's an important step even in strategizing at the community level, develop strategy development tool. I'm going to wrap up my presentation here, and I would like to thank once again all those who cooperate with us. But I'm sure that we'll have a lot of work to do for a lot of upcoming years. Thank you. We will discuss, Katerina, with you some of the aspects of your work. But now let me turn the floor over to Mr. Horuzhevsky. So, you represent here the Sofievska community that Katerina mentioned. And this community is rather small community. It's not far from Kryvyi Rog, and we are just an average, golden average, as they say, or gold measure average for our whole oblast, that is administrative region of Dnipropetrovsk. We had participated in another project, similar project. It was within the ULEAD program, but we needed and we wanted to make a register of the voters and different other registers, because without them we cannot even have complete information on what we actually have, what are the resources of our own community, including human resources and so on. We had situations when, for example, the local buildings were owned by 3 people at the same time, and the 3 houses along the same street had the same numbers. And so in order to clarify all that, we started working with demographic data, first of all. Because the other types of the data that, for example, the Cabinet of Ministers Statistical Committee has gathered, that data was mostly presented by the communities themselves, and oftentimes was not complete or indeed was sometimes inaccurate. inaccurate. Therefore, we decided to start using the cloud services in order to avoid the situation when our community would use its meager budget, to hire the IT specialists. So, in order to economize on the use of resources, we decided to use the cloud services. And the program Dobre, as was already mentioned by Ms. Borisenko, we hope that through our cooperation with them, we'll rise the level of our IT services to an entirely different qualitative level. We also hope that that will be a sort of a mass media, this new platform of our communities, because the local newspapers, they ceased to be printed all over Ukraine many years ago. And so we hope that through that website there would be some way of communicating with the residents, for the local authorities, with the local residents, and for the local residents among themselves too. Therefore, we have placed on our website different templates of the petitions, of different other documents that our residents can freely use, and that would facilitate our communication with the local authorities. Our important experience in this respect was that we had established also some communication tools via social networks. And there were some of the publications made on those in social networks that were reaching 12 or even there was once 14,000 subscribers. Therefore, this communication is very important, and they enable the local residents to express any of their views on any of the problems, local problems. So we have been using not only Facebook, but also the Instagram platform, because especially the younger generation, they prefer Instagram. But it's all these social networks, they have also been useful to the senior generations, to senior citizens of our community. We also tried to make a first publication on a YouTube channel, and that was a video about our local festival. And it was rather, large-scale festival. More than 100 teams took part. And so this participation budget that Ms. Borisenko mentioned a few minutes ago, that's a very useful tool. After the first cycle, in which about 3,000 local residents took part in that first cycle. And the largest village in our community has almost the population of almost 7,000 people. Several more villages, they only have 500 people, about 500 people populations. And what we managed to accomplish, we made all the residents of all the villages to vote for the use of this participation budget. So everybody voted, and then they started implementing the projects. They saw it then quite quickly that the implementation of those projects was not even easy in terms of, overcoming all the bureaucratic hurdles to get all the clearances, all the permits, and so on. And they also used their voluntary, so to say, participation tool when they were buying some of the inputs for the construction of different facilities in their villages, but to make the constructions themselves so that they could save on the cost of construction works. And so that is a good illustration of how these electronic tools helped with the involvement, massive involvement of our local population in the solution of many of the local problems of our community. So when that first ULEAD project in digitalization was being implemented, we managed to have made our register of our community. And that was an important tool for us to understand how many, for example, how many entrepreneurs we had in our community, how many businesses operated in our community, what are their assets. And that was all very important for us to allocate our budget better, more efficiently, and to commence some new projects. So the trend now is to digitalize all the processes that we have in the administration of our community. And the second large aim is to enable all our local citizenry to have the local authorities digitally accessible, so to say. There was, for example, some facilitation in terms of equipment. There was the IP telephony switch that our community bought. One might think that it's the yesterday's equipment, but if you compare this situation with the other communities in Ukraine, where the fixed line telephones were simply, and the telephonic systems were simply destroyed and fell out of use entirely, there has been no online, there has been no fixed line telephony in Ukraine for the last decade, probably. The situation in our community is much better due to that. And we are now working on the integration of the new chunks, so to say, data platforms that we are developing with the existing register that I had already mentioned. And so that, for example, some of the duties and taxes could be automatized, so to say. The reminders could be sent to the local businesses, reminding them that some of the duties and payments are due. They need to make them within some stated period of time. And so this all facilitates the effective use of the resources in the interests of our community. Also, the e-document sphere, the use of these documents, it's also very important. But these products being quite costly and their effect is not immediate, we still pay attention to them, trying at the same time to raise some financing for that. for all these processes, administration processes and digitalization processes, but mostly certainly the administrative processes, the administration of a local budget, for example, to go on in the most transparent manner possible, we are going to introduce such tools as the video broadcasting of the meetings of the local of our community council, and one can just visit the website. There have already been done some of those broadcasts. So these are the areas in which we work, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. There are going to be some questions, I'm sure, but and there will be even some questions, I'm sure. But let us now switch to our Estonian colleagues, and let us inquire if Mr. Krabu from Estonia is online. Can we contact him now? Let me just make a few remarks before Mr. Krabu's remarks. We highlighted the experience that we have at different local levels in Ukraine in the e-government development. And Kirill Krabu says that he is not speaking Ukrainian well enough, but the question to you, Kirill, is that would it be correct if I say that all the communication between Estonian citizens and their government is done online, so to say? Is that correct? Would that be accurate to say so? Yes, I'd say so, says Mr. Krabu. In fact, I have forgotten even when it was my last time when I visited any of the administrations or local authority offices. So there have been different types of electronic platforms and channels of communications via social networks and so on and so forth. And I'm now going to tell you about them more in detail. Can you put my presentation on screen, please? On the screen, please. Can you see the pictures of my presentation? Not yet. Let me try it again. Sometimes the glitches happen with these electronic things. Let us now upload my presentation once again. Yeah, now we have it. So the e-governance solutions for Estonia. Let us start with a brief presentation of myself. I have been working for 10 years on digitalization issues, and among our clients there have been practically all government authorities, government bodies, and all the largest information systems of the government of Estonia. And I will then develop more in detail all these aspects. So the overall population of Estonia is currently 1.3 million, which is probably less than one administrative region of Ukraine. And what we have been doing, we have developed the ID card as the main identification document. And they have been in use since 2002. So all interaction with any government authority could be done through these electronic identification media. So when even when a foreign citizen is interested in doing business, for instance, in Estonia, that foreign citizen can be granted what we call a virtual electronic citizenship. Providing this electronic ID tools which facilitate that foreign citizens' communication with Estonian government. More than 90% of the bank transactions currently in Estonia, 99%, 0.6, which is practically 100% of bank transactions are done digitally. 98%, sorry, of the population they file their tax returns through the electronic platforms and electronic means. And also the X-Road electronic services and other modern tools that provide for the exchange of data, combining and aggregating all electronic resources of all local authorities and all governmental authorities. The only thing you cannot yet do electronically, you cannot get married or get divorced electronically. You should do that in person. But we hope that there could be some progress there too. Estonia started digitalizing its government quite soon after the breakup of the former Soviet Union, when Estonia decided to develop all its own systems, governmental systems, and so on and so forth. There was an offer from Finland, for example, to use their templates, so to say, and designs, but we decided to go on our own, and there was what we called the jump of a tiger, the great leap through which computer communication, computer education started being promoted. And in 2001, the e-government, first e-government services were established, and then there was, for example, the law was adopted on how the digital data should be processed. For instance, the X-Road system can only access the data from one register, and it cannot use the other databases of the other government agencies. That is a guarantee that is ensured in order to provide for the electronic privacy or the privacy of electronic data, or the privacy if you prefer that way of pronouncing it. So today we have been working, our recent works have been the one-stop shop for electronic mail, correspondence, communication with different authorities, the development of different services of e-government for mobile phones, and also we are allowing with the most modern applications the use of different services without even visiting this integrated governmental platform, electronic platform or portal. And so the development of these services, our current goal is to make all these services that the governmental portal is equipped with most convenient for use over a mobile phone. If we speak about the local authorities and their e-government services. They in all the counties or volas, as they're called in Estonia, all the documents could be used electronically. They have been integrated with the X-Road system. The local authorities can virtually participate in all the meetings and voting. A number of digital workplaces have been established for them. Also, the electronic polling and electronic voting abilities were provided for. Also, the instruments for the participation with the private sector enterprises. Everybody is trying now to focus on the applications with the open code so that they could be always improved and modernized and enhanced, and so that they be most accessible and usable by the public at large. So we have these locally developed electronic tools and applications that we can offer all over the country to different authorities, different governmental bodies and authorities. And so it's a part of this new trend of the sharing economy at the local level of local self-government. Some of the examples. Delta is a system of the use of electronic documents. So the documents could be signed electronically. Different tasks for work with these documents could be assigned through that system. And it has been enhanced and developed all the time, improved. And that was, in turn, a good example. That is a good example of our cooperation, or rather private-public cooperation. This system has been done, so to say, in a centralized manner. It was done by the government, first of all, but it has been developed ever since its development has been financed by from the public budget, from the national budget. And this an advantage of that is that it's accessible free of charge, and this practically is the software with open code that is always in progress. Its improvement is always in progress. So it's rather flexible. It's integrated with X-Road, and it enables the exchange of data with different databases and registers, information registers. And the most recent trend is that it's now based on the cloud services, and if any of the local communities, for instance, would like to appropriate and put in use this system, it could be done within 1 month. There is also the BOLIS system, which is a reflection of the official processes, administrative processes in the local authorities. And Sindmuset is another portal for information about local events. Its main audience are local residents of local communities, and they put a great deal of attention to the local events, so people can literally know what's happening in his or her own street. So all public expenses, they are discussed, and all local events. We have developed the dot events part for every local authority all over the country. The newest of our products are the Delta 2.
для госчиновников. Город Таллин посмотрел.
It was initially done for the central government of Estonia, then the capital town of Tallinn, the Tallinn municipality, they looked at that platform and they got interested and wanted to have a similar platform for themselves. Also, the Wallis 2, which is now being developed. There have been consultations on the progress of its development, but it has not yet been, the development has not yet been started. Also, GIS register. It's the register for all the real estate assets, and it's the special, so to say, feature of that is that geo information system is used in this register, so you could see every real estate asset with all its geographic coordinates and so on. So it can be used for all the permits, for the development and planning and construction works and so on. And we also have the system of, we are planning rather to create quite soon the NEET system, which is the information system for local bodies of local self-government that would provide support to the unemployed and people who are not in education, especially the young people. So these are this is the shortest and briefest possible description. I tried to put it all into 15-minute time slot that was allocated to me. Anna Maria, we are now inviting you to join us, and can we kindly ask you to speak a little bit slower, because we have the simultaneous translation. Anna Maria, let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, is the analyst of the IT service of the municipality of Pärnu. It's a fairly large town by Estonian scale. It's about 40,000 residents town with 40,000 people. If possible, says Anna Maria, I would also like to make my presentation. Please put on the slides. Put them on the screen. Can you see them? So we can see the slide now of electronic services in the municipal administration of the town of Pärnu. Anna Maria is adjusting the picture, to the size of the screen. And now we can see these slides quite well as the moderator and Anna Maria conclude. My name is Anna Maria, and I have been working for 3 years in the municipality of Pärnu, and my work is the introduction and support of information systems in the work of the Pärnu municipality. Let me say a few words about our town. Our town, Pärnu, is the most best known resort town on the sand beaches of the Baltic Sea, its southern shore. And we have 189 employees in our municipality. Pärnu municipality until 2018 was about 40,000 people of of its population, then our municipality rather was amalgamated, so to say, with two more municipalities, and today the population of this new administrative unit, so to say, is about 55,000 people. So what do we work on? We work on different permits. For instance, if the businesses turn to us for some permits, for some construction works, road building, some events, if they need some financial participation, some financial assistance. And so all the events that are aimed at supporting cultural life and so on. So we have around 180 different public services, and around 60 of them are the services of city planning, city development, or town development and town planning and so on. Kirill mentioned the systems of electronic government that have been used in Estonia. Kirill mentioned the Delta system, but there are some more. There are the other e-government systems available to different municipalities, and they might choose them for themselves. So, for example, if we speak about the electronic documents system, the electronic document circulation system, as it is properly called in this slide. So it includes registration, the history of every document, and the processing, various stages of the processing of those documents. What about the petitions? And other documents that we need from our citizens, from our local residents. These days, as you know, due to COVID, the situation is similar to any other country now, I guess. The in-person contacts are not allowed, and people just communicate via email or just ordinary mail. And as I had already told you that we were amalgamated in 2018 with two more municipalities. There have been some work done in order to integrate, so to say, our electronic document circulation system with their electronic tools and platforms. The electronic services and automation of electronic communication processes. For instance, if a person would like to use his or her mobile phone to access the municipality website, we promote this idea because it's a great saving of resources. For instance, that way, this sending or resending, repetitive sending of the data that we already have could be avoided, and that will be also the very time-saving and resource-saving for the municipality too. The financial assistance, when, for instance, a child is born in a family, the municipality can grant some, financial award, so to say. There is an electronic card, as we call it, and it could be processed with or through the mobile phone applications. To access this electronic database, practically a person needs to enter the PIN, the electronic PIN code, personal identification number, and being thus identified, that person does not need any further authentication, so to say, for the use of that system. The system recognizes that this is the user so-and-so, knowing the name of the user, and so on. So I enter here, for example, the ID code for my newborn child, and I enter my bank account number, and that's how I can get this financial assistance. And the municipality even established this, souvenir or the present making by the mayor of the town in some cases. So if the parents say that they would like to meet the mayor on that occasion, and to get some small present from him, they can also organize that ceremony electronically too. So all the data that usually is entered into all personal data that usually is entered into these that type of forms like name, last name, family name, patronymic, and so on. Nothing should be entered in here because it's integrated with the data that is assigned or associated with that user. So the feeding of the data is automated, and for example, for a newborn child, if that is a citizen of the town of Pärnu, that the data for that newborn is entered by when the documents about the birth of that child when the information is presented to the local authorities, and then that information circulates in association with these information systems and databases, administrative information systems and databases. So you can see here the number of addresses and services that are offered within this information system. Among different services, useful services that is also offered through this platform of e-government, you can see, for example, the town maps of different parts of the town. And after the initial, mapping part was put on that platform, we also started adding gradually some more information that the users could retrieve when they look at that map and use it. I'm not now trying to show you how to use that information, but I somehow lost that connection or slide or. So that's the general view of that page. This is the map itself. So initially it was just the map, as you can see. This is the river that flows across Pärnu, and if, for instance, I am interested in learning about the assets, real estate assets in this particular part of the town, I just click on the image of that asset, and I have some additional information associated with that image. Even the cemetery, for instance, I can find the graves of my relatives or friends there, even through this informatized, so to say, map. This information, by the way, is in totally open access. You do not even enter any logins or anything, any identification data. For instance, my granddad is buried here at Pärnu Cemetery, and I can, browse through the information that is attached to this page, and even if even if I forgot where he was buried. Let's say I left the country for 10 years, then I come back and I simply just do not remember where exactly was that grave in that cemetery. I can access this map, and the map has recently been equipped even with the photographs of the graves themselves, so I can quite easily identify even the grave on the graveyard of the town of Pärnu. So that's the end of my presentation. Very interesting. Thank you very much. And there have been a lot of questions and remarks in the course of your presentation and Kirill's presentation and Katerina's presentation. So let us start with the questions related to the electronic government transition, so to say, to that system. What have been the problems, or what were the problems, rather? Kirill, can we start with us? And Anna Maria, can we start with us?
Это было уже более 15 лет назад.
I know that at Pärnu, this transition to the digital or electronic government system occurred yet in 2006. At that time, I was not working in the municipality, and so I am quite familiar with the things that I have witnessed myself for the 3 last years. But the important thing that I have been working on was, for instance, that if you mentioned the problems with which I encountered was that some of the employees of the municipality were not interested in, for example, adding the history of the documents part, for instance, to specific users. For instance, it could be seen what petitions people have filed for the last 3 years and so on. So, as I said, some people in the municipality were not interested in that. They did not consider it useful or necessary. Kirill, what's what can your input be? What would you say about these problems? Have there been any? What they were? Well, I remember the initial stage when the decision was made to digitalize this governmental system. A lot of people were reluctant. They thought it was too complicated and unnecessary. But that tiger leap that I mentioned of the end of the 90s and early 2000s, I remember that I participated in that effort when I was about 16. We were given the T-shirts and baseball caps with some of the slogans popularizing the e-government effort. For instance, if we speak about the electronic ID, the transition to that electronic ID should have been done in the most comfortable manner for the citizens of the country, for the consumers. And I must say that the banks were among the pioneers of that effort because it was in their interest. It was very useful for them, and you have having your digital ID. You can just go to the bank or electronically or online, visit their platform, and see the information about your bank account and so on and so forth. And then using those initial electronic ID IDs. The government, the local administrations and the government, they saw the advantages of that. They saw that it was very time-saving way of processing the documents. And in Estonia, for instance, in Estonia, there have been calculations that saying that each day 1,000 years of work hours is being saved every day due to the availability, or thanks to the availability of these electronic services. So people do not wait in queues. They do not spend time, going to different local bodies and so on and so forth. So it was difficult to overcome that psychological, so to say, barrier. But as soon as people understood that it was useful, that it was to their own benefit, to their own advantage, all that disappeared. Take my parents, for instance. They are 70 years old, even older. They do not even think of visiting, banks, bank offices, or different other offices. They just use their computer, they log in themselves. That's probably the most complicated part, and that's it. Kirill, one more question that I have. Is there any connection between the decentralization in Estonia, decentralization reform, and this e-government effort? Well, digitalization and electronic government is certainly inextricably tied to that effort. Even the structure of the information systems and database that is centralized and that commands everything or manages everything. X-Road is just a layer that provides for the interconnections between different layers of data, but any citizen is considered to be an owner of all the data that has been accumulated by all governmental databases and all local authority databases. But the databases themselves, they are decentralized, because otherwise the alternative could be only one huge centralized database, which, in case of its failure or any problem with it, would just, corrupt and compromise the whole system of e-government in the country. But whatever were the stages of the development and digitalization and development of this e-government system, because of this decentralization, no segments of the existing electronic systems have been disrupted, their functioning have been disrupted, or nothing of the kind has happened so far. Colleagues, if you have any questions, Igor Shevchenko from Vinnytsia region. The question is probably to Katerina Borisenko and Maxim Hruzhevsky. We have heard from our Estonian colleagues what has already been done there. In Ukraine, as we know, there has been a ministry of transformation, of digitalization created. But at the local level, the situation is that the local communities, through their own efforts, are trying to digitalize, so to say, their administrative processes themselves, and at the local level, oftentimes it happens so that they are doing that on their own. Could it happen so that at some certain stage with this new powerful ministry, there could be some governmental decree or order or something so that all these previously created digital or electronic systems should be modified in order to comply with some government set standards or requirements? Well, we have been, from my experience, says Mr. Harushevsky, we have the experience of cooperation with this new ministry, Mindigit, as they call it in Ukrainian, so Ministry of Digitalization. And so they are aware of our effort of digitalization at the level of our community, and also this digitalization it promotes also communications among the communities, and so the idea is yes, to do it in somehow coordinated manner so that no local community efforts would be in vain. Well, let me say, says Ms. Borisenko, how we started our work. There was no ministry, digitalization ministry that exists now at that time, and we decided to work on our own, initiate that work. And this work done on the platform of open code platform, and certainly we decided not to double the efforts and the work that has already been done. For instance, if we have this Prozoro system, which you are aware, we are not duplicating any of the data that they might have. We use for our local authorities platforms the data that they have. If some standards are introduced with regard to some local authority sites, websites, we will just adjust to those standards, and if we physically contact with and work in the communities, I think the ministry will do the same, and they will incorporate that data. They will use that data for their ideas and for their standard setting, so to say, and policy making decisions. Let me ask one more question. It's from Mezhevska community, from Ms. Kropivyanska. What are the methods of or tools of digitalization of the life of a community? Well, again, says Mr. Harushevsky, as I have already mentioned, for example, the digitalization, so to say, of the festival that we had. And, for example, the idea to put the video about that festival on YouTube, I think it was very successful. A lot of local people saw that video, and our understanding is that even from 15 different countries, there were also some viewers from 15 more countries. The same thing about the use of the digitalization, for example, of the library that we used to have, and the local residents, even from the most remote villages, they could see the resources of that library, but that certainly requires some broadband, preferably some quick internet connection. And as far as I know, one of the smallest villages in our community, which only has 80 residents, it's being connected now to a broadband connection. And so these resources via high-speed internet connections, they are going to be available. Let me add, says Ms. Borisenko, that if there is already an electronic site, an electronic platform, so to say, you can put any resources there. Certainly, you could provide them with a dedicated page of a library into which you could digitalize different editions and put them there and make them available to all the local population. So different resources, including the contacts, different contact information, everything that could be necessary for local citizens' interaction with local authorities, different local establishments. It all can be, all that information could be put into the platform. Do you have any, Kirill, the question is to you, do you have any interesting ideas on interaction in the cultural field with local cultural authorities and so on? Kirill says that certainly culture is one of the preferred fields, but certainly my advice after your questions is that you should make a feasibility study, so to say, and especially using the experience of Estonia of the recent years. There have indeed been
тщательного продумывания вообще того.
There have indeed been some instances when a lot of resources, a lot of funding was spent on developing very powerful digital platforms, and then that platform ended up unusable and not used because it did not have what was needed basically for the local communities, for the electronic government, useful electronic government features. In order to avoid this waste of resources, these losses of resources, please make, first of all, a proper analysis of what you need, and after that, start developing the things that on which you set your mind up. Kirill, one more question to you. What about the small communities, small municipalities, especially the funding issue? How was that resolved? Well, in reality, there are different options, and there have been different options used. Some of the local communities, they created a joint, so to say, fund that they used for this digitalization effort. Then nowadays there are different cloud services. I have mentioned the Delta system in Estonia, and Anna Maria mentioned also the other system that practically are competing now in Estonia. But the funding of those systems can be done jointly by the central government and the local authorities, and maybe some local businesses, if they see their interest in using some of the, so to say, niches of this use of this electronic information, they might also participate in the development of those digital resources. So there are various options, and the local authorities, it's up to them to choose the best options for them. Okay, my question is to you. You have the variety of proprietary products, so to say, and there are government-funded resources that are widely available there, that are free of charge. Well, yes, as I've mentioned, the system that I have already mentioned that was proprietary, was developed by private companies. Delta, on the contrary, is, as I have already mentioned, is a public-funded platform, and Amphra, as you can see, the privately developed information system is easier for use because Delta, in the end, is just the Java-based large platform, and the Amphra system is based on the cloud resources. So to use for any proprietary applications and software and services to be compatible with the government system of electronic government, you need to get certified, to be certified by the government entities. I would like to add, says Anna Maria, to get the data from the register of the population, the demographic register. The company that would like to use, could be interested in using that data, they should make an application to the register and to give their reasons why they need the data from that database, from that register. It's not automatically granted the access to the databases. Well, the question that we have already touched upon, this digitalization issue, how has it been related in Estonian experience, for instance, with the privacy issue, the safety of the information? Well, it has been a touchy issue, sensitive issue in Estonia too. In Estonia, what we did with our databases and information system, there is the tool that one can see, every citizen can see why, well, if his or her individual data have been accessed, whom it was accessed by, and I can react if, as soon as I learn about some undesirable, for example, access to my personal data, I can make a request and I can even turn to the police for their intervention. It's, for example, if somebody needs some information to access some databases and get some information from them for entirely legitimate use, like, for example, somebody is interested in acquiring a real estate asset, he or she can get that information, but some money should be paid for that service, and there should be an application filed for the provision of that access. Let me ask our Estonian colleagues about what technical or legislative steps should be done by Ukraine so that the e-government be more efficiently introduced in Ukraine. Or let me rephrase this question by asking you whether you can recommend sort of a roadmap for digitalization based on the Estonian experience, and that steps that you might think useful for Ukraine. Well, I can say that the Estonian experience has been that the government has been pioneering this digitalization effort. In Finland, for instance, it was vice versa. The private entities were the pioneers and the government was just following them. So my advice is, if you are interested in gather more information about the experiences of different countries, you can just turn to, Finland. It's the country that I know, or to Estonia, to our country, and get some information from these countries. Kirill, what about you? Well, there was some integration of our information systems with Finland. So we are now speaking about the integration of major databases, governmental databases of Estonia and Finland, and when we speak about local communities, we need to speak about the local level needs. a lot of people are afraid, to continue with the digitalization and with allocating the administrative services to the or transforming them into electronic format. And the important part is to involve, the local governments. They should pioneer these efforts. And certainly what is desirable is to make or to draft and adopt necessary legislation. But again, it is all interconnected. If the electronic signature, for example, digital signature, is not effective, people would not believe in the possibility to use electronic signatures, and they will continue using hard copies of the documents until the electronic signatures have proved their efficiency. But these things they would progress, I believe, and certainly your efforts should be continued in this area. I cannot, please understand that I cannot give you more specific advice because I'm just not familiar with the situation with digitalization in Ukraine. One needs to know what is done, how and by whom and where, and so on. But the general idea is that the local communities, local authorities, they availing themselves of some international experience, international practices, should continue their efforts. And if today, people are more interested, given the COVID situation, they are more interested in getting more and broader electronic services. This momentum can be used to the benefit of the e-government system. Another question, Ms. Bazurina asks, what about the local communities that are too poor, that cannot afford the development of these expensive, digital platforms and services? Dear colleagues, says Ms. Borisenko, a lot of co-financing, co-funding programs, and even grant programs of, granting. Financing through granting is also available. You should just pay more attention to these options. And then the participation of the public financing. And the third, so to say, sphere is, has already been mentioned by our Estonian colleagues. It's the co-sharing, the co-financing with the participation of private entities. And so you can invite some of them and to work in collaboration with them, the, so to say, horizontal cooperation among different organizations, different entities, and I'm sure that this could also contribute to the efforts of the local communities. What is essential here is also the planning of these processes, and that includes certainly the budgetary planning, so that there should be somebody who can say in the local authorities that we need in the next year's budget to allocate, let's say, 5% for this digitalization effort. And that regards that's as far as different options are concerned. We have already mentioned the participation budget, but there are also other funding options. Mr. Haruzhevsky says that we have successfully used in our community, for instance, the program financing. We haven't used practically a single penny from our local budget. But we spent some money, something like 50,000 hryvnias, for the work that was needed for the creation of the registers of the residents, local residents. But let me say that our assessment is that having spent those 50,000 hryvnias, we could save another 2 million hryvnias from our local budget that otherwise could have been spent on, or could be spent on the expenses related to information processing and data processing that was made or has been made much more effective after those registers were put in operation. And we have heard from Estonia very successful examples of these efforts. Well, dear colleagues, we have exhausted our time. Thank you, Ms. Borisenko. Thank you, Mr. Hrożewski. Thanks to Mr. Krabu. And